All right, today we are going to be talking about what makes motorcycle accident cases more complicated than regular car accidents. Welcome to our new informative segment of Mototalks with Mitch and Mel for the law firm of Proner and Proner. I'm your host and fellow writer, Mel Maguia. And as often as we can, we will sit down with the personal injury expert himself and writer, Mr. Mitch Proner, a personal injury attorney with over 30 years of experience, here to answer your questions or any interesting topics that you might find useful in the personal injury world. How are you doing, Mitch?
Doing well, doing well. Thank you. Always excited to present more information and hopefully be entertaining and informative.
Yes, definitely. I know I've always learned something new from you with these talks. Now, before we start, just remember, folks, if you need to contact us, all consultations are free and confidential. Call us at any time at 1-800-321-1234. So, yeah, let's just jump right into it. What makes motorcycle accident cases more complicated than regular car accidents, Mitch?
So I've been handling motorcycle accident cases for over 30 years. I've handled every type of motorcycle accident case possible, and I've tried these cases. And I've tried cases in 30 different jurisdictions. And I can tell you, motorcycle accident cases are unique in that as soon as you mention that you're representing a rider, there are people in the room that right away have a strong opinion, and it's not favorable. People think oftentimes riders are at fault for their own injuries, regardless of what the law says. They think to get on a motorcycle, you're crazy. Now, we've all seen bad drivers of every vehicle, but nobody says all truck drivers are bad. Nobody says, maybe some people do, but motorcycles seem to be unique in that people think that motorcycles are, are at fault for their own injuries, and that's not the law. Additionally, you'll go before judges, and judges will say you take less for the case. You know, everybody hates motorcycles
Oh, wow.
because they're used to attorneys in their courtrooms that don't know how to present the motorcycle accident case, or they have their own personal biases. And adjusters think they're entitled to a discount because it's a motorcycle accident,
Oh, wow.
because that's what they're used to. Attorneys taking less because they don't know how to handle a motorcycle in case don't want to handle a motorcycle because they think to themselves, I'm not going to try this case. It's a biker. Nobody's going to like him. But I've been doing it for a long time, and I know that that's not fair to the rider, and it's not the law.
Yeah.
And that makes presenting the case complex because you want to make sure that the rider gets what they're entitled to. And you're dealing with deep held prejudices that you have to work your way around.
So, with that being said, do insurance companies treat motorcycle riders differently then?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They first of all, the law treats them differently. For example, in New York, there's a part of your policy that's personal injury protection,
Okay.
and that's no fault coverage. A motorcyclist is required to pay for no fault coverage, but doesn't get the benefits of the no fault coverage. That benefit only goes to a pedestrian they might hit on their bike.
Oh,
That no fault coverage is on your policy, but you can't avail yourself, whereas a car driver can. If you're in a car accident, you get your medical bills paid up to $50,000 and 80% of your lost earnings up to $2,000 a month, up to a total of $50,000 for medical bills, lost earnings, and $25 a day in miscellaneous expenses. That's basic economic loss. On your motorcycle insurance policy, you'll have basic economic loss written right into the policy. It doesn't cover you, it covers somebody else. In a car, it covers you. Now, insurance carriers, when you go to settle the claim, 90% of them don't even know motorcycles are excluded from no fault. And they'll talk to you about settling a case like it's a no fault case where the medical bills are paid for. But the medical bills oftentimes come out of the rider's pocket. Or they're front paid by his health insurance, but the health insurance might have to be paid back if it's a self-funded ERISA plan. So the lawyer has to know that it's handled differently and has to explain to the insurance carrier that it's handled differently. And they have large programs like Allstate uses Colossus, and their numbers might be wrong because they don't take into consideration the injuries the motorcycle rider sustains. So you have to be aware of that and be ready to know what your case is worth and be prepared to try the case if they're not willing to pay what it's worth. Because as you asked, the insurance carriers do treat bikers wrongly and most often unfairly. They don't give you more money than you're required to or entitled to. They give you less.
I had no idea. I honestly had no idea about that. Now, I guess to add on to that, so do road design and poor maintenance affect motorcycle claims?
So you can have, and I've had road defect cases. I think I probably handle more road defect cases than any other attorney because when I've done the research on these claims, it's always my cases that come up. So yeah, for example, I had a case where a guy picks up a woman at night, and they were leaving a restaurant. She was on the back, and unfortunately, the pavement wasn't finished. There was actually one lane higher than the other by about 3 inches because they were repaving, and there was no markers. Now with the car, there were no incidents because vehicles went down the roadway. But when my rider went down the roadway, that was enough to send him into the shoulder, and him and the passenger sustained injuries. That was a roadway defect. I had another case with a railroad crossing where there was construction going on, unmarked defect, and they blamed the railroad crossing, and we blamed the construction, but we prevailed. I was successful in that one too. So both those cases involved roadway defects and improper signage because there was no warning to the rider. And that can be a possible claim, but usually you need to show that there's some sort of cause and create, meaning the condition wasn't a natural condition that occurred over time. A pothole, unfortunately, is not something they can be held responsible for. They maintain those claims, they're just not real. But sometimes I had a case where there was it was in the Bronx by the Bruckner Expressway, where there's actually an island there from when who knows what was there before, and there were some cobblestones in the middle of the roadway, and my client hit that and went down, and we were successful in that one. Had another case where there was it was a road construction going on. There was all of a sudden there was a divider there, one of those yellow kind of leafed roadway dividers, and he hit that. We were successful in that one too. Anyway, usually it's got to be some sort of construction or ongoing condition rather than a pothole. But we could look and investigate.
All right, yeah. So, and in addition to that, so does lane positioning or road placement factor in determining who was at fault in a motorcycle accident?
Yeah. If you leave your lane and there's another vehicle in the other lane, sure.
Yeah.
Lane positioning with you have the obligation to maintain your vehicle within a lane.
Yeah.
And you can't move out of your lane unless it's safe to do so.
So lane splitting.
In California, lane splitting is legal. In New York, it's not.
Yeah.
And if you're lane splitting or switching lanes when you shouldn't, and you're involved in an accident, that's your fault. Sorry. But if the other vehicle is switching lanes and they didn't see you, they're at fault.
Yeah.
And that's often a hotly contested issue, and we take those cases.
Yeah. Well, that's honestly, that first portion that you told me about the insurance, the no fault, I had no idea. So that's really, really great information. Definitely for me and hopefully for you all there. So there you have it, folks. You heard it from the expert himself. Don't forget, if you need our help, give us a call 24/7 at 1-800-321-1234, where consultations are free and confidential. That'll do it for now. And thank you for taking the time to tune in, whether it's on our podcast, video broadcast. We really do appreciate you taking this time. And please, if you haven't yet, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. Like, share, and please subscribe so you get the latest updates. Now, before we go, Mitch, do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, as you're speaking, I thought about so many cases I've had where the other vehicle switched lanes without seeing my client.
Oh,
And I was thinking about one where a work van switched over into an HOV lane over two WL lines and a divider. It's not expected, but if you're riding on the highway, keep that pocket of air around you.
Yep.
Where if the vehicle makes a sudden lane change, you're not caught. Try and keep that some separating distance to the extent possible. Of course, I've been on 95 on my motorcycle while construction's going on. The lanes are narrow and vehicles are packed on there. You can't always keep that space around you, but when you can, do your best. Anyway, ride safe.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Great advice. Thanks again, Mitch, and yet for another informative session with you. And thank you all for checking us out. And remember, we ride just like you. We'll see you next time, guys.
Thanks. Be well.